The Wellness Show, Episode 25.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more.
You're in Canada?
I am. Where are you?
I'm in Northern California.
Right.
My path is to be an emissary for the universal awakening of unconditional love and joy. And right now that takes three primary pathways, although I'm into everything. One is this conscious parenting I do, classes. And then one is I work in the jails. I do mindfulness and something called the Way of Mastery. I'm just talking fast because I know we're not doing the actual interview. And then I also did like an online course, and I do classes in for self-love. I have an event called Adoring Yourself just for the joy of it.
Great.
And I do something called Cellular Memory Release. I'm a licensed therapist, so all in that genre. Realizing that Christ consciousness is the root of all of us, and the amount that he's able to change. He's been in jail most of his life since the age of 16. He's 39 now, and he has completely turned his life around. So what inspires me with all of this is that when people receive the proper education, the proper nurturing, the proper love, an environment of love, they're able to turn around completely. So between education, the jails, people's lives, when people get this, it's like manna from heaven. They don't know nobody wants to be miserable. Nobody wants to suffer. Nobody wants to yell at their child. So to me, the exciting thing is all these possibilities, the work you're doing, the work I'm doing, they're available. And so people, when I was doing therapy, traditional therapy, people would come for a year for one technique. Now I generally see people 10 to 12 times because I train them how to work with themselves, how to dive into these deeper emotions. Now, of course, if they have deep trauma, it takes a little longer because basically I'm providing a sacred holding environment for them to have the courage to dive into these deeper issues. But I'm just so excited that I think my parents didn't have a chance.
No,
a lot of the reasons I'm doing this work is because,
and their parents
exactly. So we're so fortunate to be alive now, to have all these new ways of working with these painful and very difficult emotions available to us now. So it's an exciting time to be alive. It's not an easy time to be alive, not at all. And that's the other thing. I feel like if people don't have these tools, they're really up the creek. More and more people are really suffering because they don't know what to do with their difficult emotions.
Yeah, I agree with you. Most people, because there's so much planetary transformation and change, all the solar things that are going on, and the energy just raising so quickly that we're being asked to go deeper and to deal with the more difficult trauma that we've never dealt with before, both individually and collectively. So, a lot of the bottom of the barrel has got to be scraped and cleaned up. And for a lot of people, it's just too overwhelming. So for some of them, they just have they check out. So more and more people will be looking for people like you, whether it's, the work that you're doing in the jails, or whether it's your work with parenting, or whether it's helping them just through learning how to deal with their own trauma and release themselves by showing up. So yeah, very exciting work. I am very excited by what you're doing, very parallel. So are you doing anything on the planetary level?
Pardon me?
Are you doing anything on the planetary level? I know all this contributes to a better society, but have you thought about what that is doing on a larger scale?
Well, to me, like I just completed a book I want to turn into an ebook about the self-love 32-day process, because for me, the internet, is just a powerful resource. So I have friends. I just actually did I had a little map that they had on Facebook, and I've been to, I don't know, 88 countries. You clicked off which ones. Well, it turned out to add up to 88. And I've lived in a lot of other countries. I've lived in, my former husband is Austrian. My daughter is from Guatemala. She's adopted. And so to me, I've lived all over the world. I've been out of the United States for many, many years. And I feel like a global citizen. And so to me, everything I'm doing is always for the entire planet, everything. And if I had to pick one thing, it's exactly what you've said. It's the parenting issue, because if we catch, that's why I'm so excited that I have some parents coming in with 15 months. If they could catch and really clear a lot of their own conditioning before their kids, well, basically, are born would be ideal, because that first 18 months is so critical. I mean, they're already, fairly set at 15 months, but the kids themselves, so as I said, my daughter's 15 and a half, and some of her friends, the wisdom that they show and the compassion, and they don't seem to have any prejudice, neither of status or race or anything. They just accept each other the way they are. It's, a sexuality. The sexuality really seems to be shifting with this generation.
Right.
It seems much less rigid. And so that's what gives me hope for the entire planet, because these kids, they're not easy to raise. Because, my generation, it was yes and amen. And you didn't ask why. You just did it. These kids don't go for that.
These kids are here to raise us. Let's face it, right?
Exactly. I feel like, I say in my class, the class is going on right now, I say, you're living with a Zen master and, for free.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people would pay a lot of money for this, right? But you get it for free every morning. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's exciting. I'm not trying to say it's easy, because, and the other thing is, I was told that everything that I'd gone through would make it easier for me to support people. And this young man, just 2 days ago, here he is. He's a drug addict. He's been in jail for a while. His girlfriend's on heroin. He's 23 years old. And he says to me, "You understand me. You can relate to me." Well, I don't have the same life experiences, but we have the exact same, we're both human. That's right. The only connection we need. And we're both this. See, ultimately, my big thing is, who are we? We're love. That's who we are. And we've just forgotten. It's all about the remembering. So to be able to help anybody remember, to me, is so exciting. I live in a really wonderful community in Northern California, but my big vision is, as you dealt with me very patiently, which I so appreciate, technology is not my strong suit. And I actually had been clearing a lot of the fears around that. Somebody on Facebook said, "Archangel Michael has a message for you about technology. Can I help you with this?" I'm like, please, yes. Because I know that to get this to a wider audience, I want to, finish my book and develop courses to get it. Because now with the internet, we can connect worldwide. It's so exciting. I mean, I didn't even know where you were. I know you're in Canada somewhere, but I don't know where you are.
Well,
and here we are connected.
I don't know where I am either, but that's a different question, right?
Well, that's okay. We don't need to know where we are. We're now, right? We're in the now. That's all you need to know, right?
So tell me a little bit more about the beginning. We were talking a bit about embodiment. To me, this is really key, that a lot of what's going on with our emotions, and they're overwhelming, and so many things are happening for so many people, and they feel stressed out to the max. And you were talking about really helping people re-embody, like get back in their bodies so they feel comfortable. Could you say a little bit more about that work that you're called to do?
Yeah. So with the cellular memory release, it's like, I had them practice actually at the jail, and then also my parents. That's one of the main techniques I'm teaching them. So to be honest with you, just our interview today, I thought it was going to happen at 11. I was taking a hike. I actually got lost. And in the past, I would have freaked out because I was going to be late. Then I couldn't connect to you. And I was just like, well, it's going to work out. And here we are doing it some hours later. It's all fine. So what happens is we have overactive nervous systems, right? And when I was first doing this work, any little thing could trigger me, like a loud noise or somebody's harsh with me. But over time, what happens is we send love to ourselves. We go into our experience. I say we don't express it. So in other words, we don't like yell at the person that's made us upset, and we don't repress it. In other words, we don't go to addiction. We don't go, eat it away, drink it away. We feel it in the body. So I was super happy that I could totally stay calm, even though what happened today with just our little interview would have really upset me maybe even a year ago. So what happens is each time we dive into our embodied experience, our we don't store it in cellular memory. But anything that's expressed externally or repressed goes straight into cellular memory. And then it's like an iceberg. So you've got the consciousness, but your consciousness is not running your behavior. It's all what's underneath. You're being triggered, and before you know it, you're reactive. So consciousness, by going repeatedly into what's happening in my body. So if I'm upset, if somebody yells at me and I'm upset, that's my responsibility. I don't need to worry about them. I need to worry about myself. Where am I feeling that in my body? That upset? Is my throat constricting? Is my heart beating fast? Am I getting hot? Whatever that is vital information that's liberating you. So by diving into that, it seems so simple. And I think the biggest problem or challenge I have, especially with the new age, there's a lot of false ideas with the new age, like you have to always be positive. Well, that just keeps you locked in duality. That is actually starting to make me annoyed.
Right.
Because it's theoretically, it sounds all wonderful, but what happens, I literally had this. I was teaching a class. I saw this woman. I taught for many years through a New Age, New Thought Center. And I saw this woman on Sunday, and I asked her how she was. And she said she was great. Well, I saw her on Monday at class, and she tells me she's suicidal. But she has this belief that she can't admit how she actually feels. She has to be positive. She has to be upbeat. She has to keep her thoughts in a positive direction. Well, this keeps you locked in hell.
It does.
But, if she would admit, this is how I feel, and you dive into that, then every time you dive into it, you're releasing this toxicity. And then the next time, as long as you have to shift the belief, of course, because otherwise you're going to just keep bringing it on in. But if you work it at those two levels, or actually three, remember who you are, which is, divine.
Yeah.
Let go of false beliefs.
Yeah.
And then feel what you're feeling. Well, that's the royal road to freedom.
All right. I like that. So what would be the hot tip, the next time I start to, feel that I'm, the whole temper's coming up, I'm getting frustrated, I'm getting stressed out, what do I do?
Well, I think the first thing is take a deep breath.
That's a good
because
one.
Otherwise, otherwise your automatic nervous system is going to start, taking you. See, you want to have that gap. So that's the one thing we stress in the mindfulness group with the men at the prison is you want that gap. See, if there's no gap, you're going to react before, it's going to be out of you before you had a chance to do anything. So if you take a deep breath, and then if you can, it depends on how much presence, because every time you do it, the gap is going to widen. So it's going to go from a tiny thing to where, maybe you have a split second to make a different choice. And then maybe, it's the old story of that pothole and, you keep falling in until you take a different road.
Yeah, I know that.
So I've fallen into it many times myself before I figured it out. So, hey, the thing is, we don't have to do it. Everybody else doesn't have to do it. We can, your and my mistakes can be, grist for the mill for somebody else so that they can get free. So, and then the next thing is what I try to do now, because I just fell into, I actually taught a class called Moving Beyond Fear. And when I arranged the class, I still was experiencing fear. By the time I taught the class, I hadn't felt fear for a while. And I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, I felt fear and panic again. I'm like, what? Again? Okay, what do I do? First of all, I don't make myself wrong for feeling that way. I dive into what's happening in my body. What's happening? Okay, I'm hot. I'm feeling like right now I see my cheeks are really hot. I guess I'm kind of excited about the interview, and I make it all okay. I befriend that emotion. So in this case, it was fear and panic. And I say to myself, fear and panic, what do you need from me? What's going on? Is there some action step I need to take? Do you need me to just lay down and cuddle with you? So instead of making your emotions the enemy that you're trying to get rid of, oh my God, you embrace it and you take it in and you say, you have compassion for yourself. And you say, so if this person pisses you off, wow, I see you're really pissed off. What do you need? What do you need? There's one part of you is at odds with the rest of you. One part of you has been triggered by probably, something from your past, this life, another life, it doesn't matter where. And by diving into it, first of all, it's less likely you'll have that problem in the future. And then second, you will, you literally say to yourself, what can I do to make myself feel better in this moment? After you've gone through, because the emotions tend to come in waves.
Yeah.
And so if you're lucky, you can ride the wave until you move into a spacious peace. Not always. Sometimes, it just lasts. The really big ones, they might last for weeks or months, and it feels like you're getting nowhere fast. So can you have enough compassion to stay with your experience, even though it's not going the way you wish it was?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, we're getting near the end of the call, and I've loved every minute of this, and we're going to have you back because there's lots to talk about here because there's so many crossings of our interests, and I know that the people on this call will want to hear more about what you're doing. So tell me, how do people get hold of you to work with you?
Well, oh, that would be fantastic. And, I can work with people, internationally because I do a lot of my work by phone. I live in a rural area, so I can't always do Skype because my internet is a little iffy, but I do a lot by phone. And my website is called raisedinlove.com, raisedinlove.com. And my email is savannah@raisedinlove.com. And my cell phone, if you're here in the United States, you can reach me at 530-575-5052. And I would love to hear from people. You know what? It truly breaks my heart when I see people suffering and they don't know what to do with it. And especially people like they say, I'm working with a parent. She's been in therapy for 5 years. 5 years. I'm like, something's a little... it can be way more efficient. Let's just put it like that, because you can talk it forever.
Yeah,
but
it's done. So Savannah, what's your last name? I don't even know your last name.
It's actually Savannah Hanson.
Savannah Hanson.
H-A-N.
Oh, that's a nice name.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and it's been a delight getting to know you. And how did we meet? We met through the internet. It's beautiful, right?
It is. So what's the last thing that you want to get across and all the things that we've been talking to?
Okay, you know what? If I could leave you with one thought, that's who are you? Every single person that we've been speaking to that's been listening to this, who you are is love. That's who you are. That's your true nature. And I know that you may have forgotten it. I know it may feel like it's the farthest thing from your experience right now, but it doesn't change a thing. You cannot not be love. You are love. And there are ways, there is help. You get the help you need. I know it's super, super, super intense, the whole planet. It's not you personally. That's the other thing I want to say. It's not you. It's happening to everybody. It's happening to me. I've been exhausted. If I turn this computer around and you saw what a mess my house was, well, honey, you'd run screaming. It's affecting me too, but I have compassion for myself and I don't judge myself. I continue to love myself, even though my house is a pigsty.
Yeah, we're all in this together. We're all going through this together. Nobody's
right.
exempt. Nobody's perfect. We're all on a roller coaster. Hopefully we can make our highs not so high and our lows not so low, so we're somewhere around, not boring, that's for sure, but a little calmer as we go through life. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I loved every minute of it, and we're going to have you back on the show. So thank you for showing up, and it was great.
Much appreciated. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, theWellnessStore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.